Welcome to Southern Gal True Crime. I share missing persons, cold cases, true crime news, and more. On January 20th, 1998, in the Powell area of DeKalb County, Alabama, the body of 28-year-old Michelle Townsend Whitton was found buried in a shallow grave. She had been reported missing 6 weeks earlier by her husband, Barry Whitton, and at the time of her disappearance, Barry Whitton told police and local media that Michelle, who he shared an 11-year-old son with, left on December 7th, 1997 to get breakfast at a Hardee's restaurant in the nearby town of Scottsboro, Alabama, and had simply never returned home. Her car, a 1998 Toyota Camry, was found a week after she disappeared, abandoned at the edge of a wooded area in the same county as her body would later be found in. At the time her car was found, Barry Whitton told a local news station that, quote, "They say there wasn't any sign of foul play in the car, so that gives me hope that she is still alive." An autopsy determined that Michelle had been beaten to death, most likely with the blunt end of a shotgun. Her throat had also been cut, and after a short initial investigation, the case went cold. Michelle's family had to wait 17 long years for any kind of movement on that case, and that would not come until after another woman and her young daughter went missing. A few months after Michelle's homicide, Barry Whitton, who owned a sawmill on his property, met a licensed practical nurse named Kimberly Compton through an ad he placed in a magazine. They were married within 6 months of dating. Kimberly, who is an Alabama native, had an 11-year-old daughter named Haleigh from a previous marriage. Haleigh was on the honor roll at Macedonia School. She was a rising sixth grader at the time of her disappearance. Her favorite color was purple. And Kimberly's father, Jerry Compton, told the Huntsville Times that he was unaware that Barry's first wife, Michelle, had been the victim of a homicide. He said, quote, "He told me his first wife passed away from an OD." On Thursday, June 21st, 2007, 36-year-old Kimberly went to her job at Cloverdale Manor Nursing Home in Scottsboro, Alabama, to pick up some papers. While driving home to Section, Alabama, she spoke with a friend on the phone, and after that, she was never heard from again. The last time Haleigh was seen has not been released to the public. Kimberly was reported missing by her co-workers at the nursing home on June 25th after she failed to report for work. Barry Whitton told investigators that he had last seen his wife of 8 years on Friday, June 22nd. He said he had given her $20,000 in cash and had last seen her and her daughter Haleigh walking down the driveway to meet someone in a white van with Alabama license plates. He said he did not see who the driver was, and he suggested that his wife and stepdaughter may have traveled to Montana. Kimberly's own vehicle, a truck, was left behind at the home. Kimberly's stepmother, Pat Compton, told reporters in 2007, quote, "We feel like something bad has happened. She would not have just left like this. She would not have left her job." After the disappearance, the small town of Section started to talk. A local resident told WAFF 48 News, quote, "Everybody in Macedonia and Section, I would say 99% to my knowledge, is aware of Barry and circumstances that happened in his past with his first wife, and they are all literally terrified of him and what he could do to them." Another local resident told the Montgomery Advisor in 2007, quote, "A lot of people are afraid of him." Nearly 3 weeks after the disappearances, police searched the secluded 40-acre property that Barry lived on with Kimberly and Haleigh. A pond on the property was drained. Police did find blood on the handle of a hatchet at the property and inside of one of Barry Whitton's trucks. Now, it is unclear if this blood was ever tested. Police also found 5 weapons, including a loaded rifle and shotgun. Berry was a convicted felon because of theft by receiving charges from 1988 and 1991. He was charged with and pleaded guilty to federal weapons charges. During the sentencing proceedings for this charge, Berry Whitton was depicted as a frightening menace. Witnesses testified that in secret jailhouse recordings, Whitton talked about, quote, mutilating people and animals and how to dispose of body parts. He also apparently spoke about taking the lives of 3 people, and he made threats against several other people, including the judge who placed his son in state custody. A U.S. District Judge Sharon Lovelace Blackburn said of Whitton that she had never seen anyone who was, quote, more of a potential danger in the community, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. In 2009, then Alabama Governor Bob Riley offered a $10,000 reward for any information on the whereabouts of Kimberly and Haleigh, but unfortunately no one came forward. While in jail, investigators did work hard to build a case against Berry Whitton. In December of 2014, a little less than a year before he was set to be released on the weapons charges, Berry was indicted for the 1997 homicide of his first wife, Michelle. He did plead not guilty. A year later, he was also charged with intimidating 2 witnesses in this case, who just so happened to be his own parents. According to the court records, Berry was charged with trying to influence the testimony of Dennis and Louverine Whitton. Prosecutors said that Berry sent his parents a letter threatening them if they released any details about his childhood to investigators. While police were searching his son's property in 2007, Dennis Whitton was reported as saying, quote, they're wasting their time. I'm not commenting about anything. At the homicide trial, a forensic chemist took the stand and said 14 fibers were found along a trail leading to Michelle's body. The chemist said 2 fibers were recovered from the gravesite before a forensic examination was carried out at Whitton's home. A forensic analysis determined the presence of blood in the master bedroom. In an area where the carpet had been cut out, blood was also found on the floor and door frame of the master bathroom. And during the trial, one of Whitton's former cellmates that served with him in 2007, a man named Jeff Young, did testify. So for one of its final witnesses in Berry Whitton's trial, the state called a man who says Whitton admitted to his wife's homicide to him and provided details. The state called David Young, who said he knew Berry Whitton in 2007. The 2 served in prison together. Young told the court they talked on a daily basis for 7 months, but prior to that, he had not heard of Berry Whitton before. So once again, Berry Whitton was charged with the homicide of his first wife, Michelle Whitton, in 1997. Her body was found buried in a shallow grave in DeKalb County weeks later, and her car had been found before that. Mr. Young said he was convicted on multiple felony charges. At the time of Whitton's arrest for his wife's homicide, Whitton was serving 10 years in prison for federal weapons violations. The state asked conversations that Mr. Young had with Whitton about Michelle. Young testified that Berry Whitton told him over several conversations about Michelle. He said Whitton described a night that he got into an argument, that Berry Whitton got into an argument with Michelle in their bedroom. Young said Whitton told him Michelle threw something at him. Whitton told Young at the time that he came around the bed, he beat her, he dragged her to the bathroom, beat her again, and after she passed away, Whitton told Young that he cleaned up the house. Young also said that Whitton told him this was when they were getting ready for bed around 9 p.m. He said the argument was about Michelle leaving Barry Whitton, and then Michelle threw a lamp or a phone at him. Young told the court that Whitton did not say what kind of weapon he used. Young went on to say that Whitton told him after he took the life of Michelle, he cleaned up, wrapped her in a towel, cleaned up the bedroom and the bathroom, and took her to a wooded area on a hillside and disposed of her body there. Young told the court that Whitton said he knew the property owner and knew the property well. The state asked Whitton, the state asked what Whitton had said after those conversations, and Young testified that Whitton told him officials were investigating two other men for the crime, saying something was found beside Michelle's car, but Whitton never said what. Young said, quote, Whitton, told me he was a genius and that he could get away with anything. The state asked when he went to law enforcement with this information, and Young said he told the DA in 2008, but said that he was not promised anything for the testimony. So then the state rested its case. The defense then moved for judgment of acquittal, saying the state had failed to meet the burden of proof on several grounds. Judge John Graham denied the motion. The defense then called Eugene Sewell to the stand. Having lived next door to the Whittons for years, Sewell told the court the morning that Michelle was reported missing, he and his wife were heading to a funeral in Scottsboro. Sewell said they left around 10 a.m. and saw Michelle in her maroon car driving. Sewell also told the court that Michelle turned and waved at them and said that he didn't have any question in his mind that the person that he saw in the car was Michelle Whitton. The defense asked if Sewell told officers about this, and he replied that he did tell multiple officers what he had seen. Whitton's lawyers called Clara Townsend to the stand. Townsend said she is related to Michelle Townsend Whitton through her husband. Townsend told the court that she and her husband were driving the morning. She later heard Michelle had been reported missing and said that they saw Michelle driving around 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. wearing something pink. Prior testimony revealed Michelle had been wearing a pink sweatsuit when her body was found. Townsend said she had not seen Michelle's car before, but that she was able to identify the driver as Michelle. Townsend said, quote, I never thought any more about it until we heard that she was missing, and I said I thought I had seen her this morning. Whitton's lawyers asked if she had reported it. Townsend replied she did not report it for, quote, a while, and she eventually gave a statement to an officer to the best of her knowledge that she could remember. Townsend told the court no one else was in the car. She said she's sure it was Michelle, although she did testify that she couldn't be 100% sure it was her because she said Michelle's hair was different and that she hadn't seen Michelle in a while. Whitton's lawyers called several other witnesses to the stand, including Dual York, who was a retired investigator with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, who testified in the state's case earlier in the trial. So that was just some trial testimony, or some testimony from the trial. It is, I wanted to note also that it does say, if I can find it, that Assistant District Attorney Lee Gwathney said that the two witnesses could have been confused about the day that they had seen Michelle. In his opinion, they most likely saw Michelle on Saturday, which the day before, because the clothes they described her as wearing were the same ones that she had on when her body was found in 1998. So on September 24th, 2015, after just 2 hours of deliberation, The jury did find Barry Whitton guilty of the homicide of Michelle. At the sentencing hearing, a letter from Michelle's mother, Joyce Smart, was read into the court record. And it said, quote, "I never imagined Michelle would grow up to be the victim of a homicide. Michelle was a decent person. She loved her family very much. I give God the glory that her body was found." ADA Gwaltney also addressed the court saying, quote, "There is no greater crime than to take the life of another. There will be no closure. There is no closure, but there is justice." Whitton was sentenced to life in prison. He was also had to pay a total of $30,000 in fines and victim compensation. Subsequent appeals by his attorneys have all been denied. He was finally named a suspect in the disappearance of Kimberly and Haleigh. So after the sentencing, Alabama Attorney General Luther Strange told reporters, quote, "I hope that this conviction will potentially lead to more evidence that may lead us to solve other crimes that Mr. Whitton may have been involved in. I'm hoping now that he has been put away that others may come forward with information that they know." So Kimberly and Haleigh are still missing. So Haleigh Breann Culwell went missing on June 21st, 2007 from Section, Alabama. She is a white female. She was just 11 years old at the time she disappeared. She would be 28 years old now. At the time she went missing, she was 5'2" and 110 pounds with blonde hair and brown eyes. She wore orthodontic braces at one time, but they had been removed prior to her disappearance. Her mother, Kimberly Whitton, also was last seen on June 21st, 2007 in Section, Alabama. She is a white female. She was 36 years old at the time she went missing. She will be 54 years old today. She has brown hair and brown eyes. Her nickname is Kim, and her maiden name is Compton. So if you have any information about Kimberly or Haleigh's disappearances, any information, especially in this cold cases, is never too small. So if you know anything, have any information, or if you know someone who has any information, please contact the Alabama Attorney General's Cold Case Hotline at 866-419-1236, or email them at coldcasetips@alabamaag.gov. Their families need answers and they deserve justice. So thanks guys for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment. The most important thing you can do is share it anywhere and everywhere you can to keep Kimberly and Haleigh's faces out there, their names out there, their story out there, so that they are never forgotten. Once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.